Have you ever wondered why there are days when you wake up with a long list of things to do, yet somehow the whole day passes and you've barely done anything meaningful? You look back and suddenly realize you spent almost an hour scrolling on your phone, made yourself another cup of coffee you didn't really need, rearranged your desk just to get inspired, and once again slipped into that familiar loop of procrastination. If you've ever felt that way, I want you to know this: you're not alone. I work with a lot of people, young entrepreneurs in New York, mothers of 3 in California, college students unsure about their future, and they all tell me the exact same thing. I know what I need to do, I just can't start. And here's the interesting part: procrastination isn't a modern problem. It existed thousands of years ago when Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca and Epictetus sat quietly observing their own minds and wrote down thoughts that we still read today. Thoughts about hesitation, self-doubt and the exhaustion that comes from fighting with yourself. Human nature hasn't changed much. What has changed is our environment. More distractions, more pressure, more expectations. I want you to picture something. You're standing in front of a door. Behind that door lies the work you want to finish, the goals you're chasing, the best version of yourself you're trying to become. But between you and that door, there's a thick layer of fog. That fog is procrastination. It blurs your vision. It makes time slip faster than you realize. It makes everything feel heavier than it actually is. But the saddest part is this: it makes you disappointed in yourself, even though deep down you know you're capable of so much more. A former client of mine, Jonathan, once told me, "I'm not afraid of the work, I'm afraid of the feeling of doing it imperfectly." And that's when it clicked for me. Most people don't procrastinate because they're lazy. They procrastinate because they're fighting an inner battle no one else can see. Have you ever felt that way? Have you ever opened your laptop, knowing exactly what you needed to do, yet felt this invisible weight pressing down on your shoulders? In Stoic philosophy, procrastination isn't the enemy, it's a signal, a reminder that your mind is being pulled away from the present moment, led by fear, distraction, or emotions you haven't fully acknowledged. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because procrastination doesn't just slow you down, it chips away at your confidence. It takes your peace, it slowly disconnects you from who you want to be. If you're here watching this, I believe it's because you want to understand yourself better. You're tired of feeling stuck. You want to know why your body and mind seem to resist you every time you try to start something. You're looking for a gentler, deeper approach, one that doesn't shame you, doesn't pressure you, but actually transforms you from within. And that's exactly what Stoicism has done for me, for Jonathan, and for hundreds of people I've worked with. It doesn't just help you fight procrastination, it helps you see the root of it. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the 7 deepest reasons why modern people procrastinate, and more importantly, how Stoic philosophy helps us overcome each one. Not through force, but through clarity, presence, and returning to what we can control. Before we begin, I want you to do one thing. Take a slow, deep breath. Let yourself fully arrive in this moment. Put aside the emails waiting for you, the messages you haven't answered, the tasks whispering for your attention. Just be here with me for the next few minutes, because sometimes stepping out of procrastination begins with a single moment of awareness. And now let's step into the first part. Why do we procrastinate? And what's really happening inside our minds? Are you ready? I'm here with you. Let's begin. When people talk about procrastination, they immediately think of lack of discipline or laziness. But through years of working with so many different individuals, I've learned something deeper. Procrastination is far more delicate, far more complex. It's like a thin layer of ice over a giant rock buried deep beneath the water. We only see the ice, but we never see the structure underneath. And to overcome procrastination, we shouldn't break the ice. We must understand the rock. So let's step into the first reason. 1. The chaos of emotions. When your mind runs ahead before you can even start. Many people think they procrastinate because they lack motivation. But in reality, what stops us is usually our unmanaged emotions. Anxiety, fear of being wrong, fear of not being good enough, fear of being judged. A woman named Amanda, a patient of mine in Boston, once told me, "I can't start writing my dissertation, not because I don't know how, but because I'm afraid it won't be good enough." And do you know what happens in the mind when fear shows up? It switches into avoidance mode. We avoid the very thing that stresses us out and seek something that feels easier, checking our phone, grabbing another coffee, scrolling through videos, or telling ourselves, "I'll do it later." But in Stoic philosophy, there's a simple and practical question: what is within my control right now? When Amanda learned to shrink the task down, she realized she didn't need to write a perfect chapter, she just needed to write one single sentence. And something strange happens when we take the smallest action. Fear instantly shrinks. Like Marcus Aurelius said, just do what's right in front of you. Procrastination is not a problem of time, it's a problem of ignored emotions. And healing begins the moment we look directly at those emotions with clarity and acceptance. 2. Overwhelming expectations. When your goals become a burden. I want you to imagine this. You're standing at the base of a massive mountain. You look up and the peak is almost touching the clouds. You know you need to climb it, but just looking at it makes you tired. That is exactly how many people feel when they set goals that are too big. They want to complete a major project. They want to transform themselves. They want to do things really well. But the ideal version they picture is far beyond their current capacity. And when the gap between what they want and where they are now becomes too wide, procrastination appears as a form of self-protection. I once worked with a young entrepreneur named Brian who always said, "I'll start when I have the perfect plan." But you know what happens when we wait for perfection? We wait forever. Stoic philosophy teaches a simple but powerful lesson. Just begin with the smallest possible step. Seneca said something I repeat often to people overwhelmed by their own expectations. No one becomes wise all at once, meaning every big achievement is built from small, ordinary actions. You can't finish a book in one day, but you can write 10 sentences. You can't change your entire life overnight, but you can give yourself 5 minutes of the right action. You can't clean the whole house, but you can fold one shirt. When Brian learned to break things down, he realized that starting wasn't as scary as he imagined. And the beautiful thing is this: small steps create the feeling of progress, and that feeling makes you want to keep going. Procrastination is the shadow of expectation. When expectation becomes lighter, that shadow fades too. 3. Endless distractions. When the world pulls you away from yourself, there's something dangerous about living in this era. Everything is designed to steal your attention. Your phone vibrates, your screen lights up, notifications keep popping in, messages arrive one after another, and social media algorithms are engineered to keep you hooked for as long as possible. You're not weak for getting distracted. You're simply living in an environment built to distract you. I remember a patient of mine, a surgeon in San Diego, who told me he could stay laser focused during hours-long surgeries, but couldn't sit still for 30 minutes to work on his reports. Why? Because an operating room is a distraction-free environment. But a normal room, it's filled with things pulling you away from the present moment. In Stoicism, there's a concept I often call attention discipline. It's the ability to protect your mental space through simple but powerful actions. Turn off notifications. Keep your phone out of reach. Put your to-do list where you can see it. Do one thing at a time. I'm not telling you to live like a monk, I'm simply saying you should create a few pockets of undisturbed time each day. Even 25 minutes of deep focus can make a massive difference. The modern world doesn't steal your time, it steals your attention, and procrastination happens when your attention is shattered into 100 tiny pieces. To overcome procrastination, you must learn to return to yourself, like a true Stoic, alert, selective, fully present in every action. 4. Fear of failure. When the mind magnifies what hasn't happened yet. There's a truth I always tell my patients. We don't procrastinate on the task. We procrastinate on the emotion we think the task will make us feel. Fear of failure is one of the deepest and most common roots of procrastination. A woman named Sarah once told me, "I know I need to submit my proposal, but I'm scared people will think I'm not good enough." A student said, "I'm afraid to start because I'm scared I won't keep up." A middle-aged man shared, "I'm scared I won't do it well, so I put it off to avoid facing that." Do you see the pattern? They're all afraid of the worst-case scenario they invented in their own mind. And that's where Stoicism steps in with one of its strongest tools, negative visualization, imagining the worst rationally. It sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? Why visualize the worst? Because Stoics don't do it to be pessimistic, they do it to see fear clearly, without exaggeration. When you bring your fear into the light of reason, you realize it's not as big as you thought. For example, I once asked Sarah, "Let's say your proposal isn't perfect. What's the worst that happens?" She paused, then said, "Maybe I'd have to revise it." And I asked her, "Does that mean your career is over?" She laughed. "No, of course not." We tend to multiply our fears by 10, but when we face them logically, they shrink immediately. Stoics believe fear only grows when you turn your back on it. When you face it, it dissolves. Procrastinating out of fear of failure is deeply human, but overcoming it through reason is what makes you stronger each day. And once we've explored the layers of emotion, unrealistic expectations, endless distractions, and fear of failure, we begin to see something clearly. Procrastination isn't a bad habit, it's a profoundly human response. But it doesn't stop there. There are other causes, quieter, subtler, but extremely common in modern life. Let's move on to the 5th cause. 5. Lack of clear purpose when you're working but don't know why. I once had a patient named Michael, an office worker in Seattle. He came to me and said, "I work every day, I get things done, but I feel no inspiration at all. I procrastinate on everything important, yet I finish the small, meaningless tasks instantly." The reason was simple, but it was one of the deepest causes of procrastination. He didn't know his true purpose. He didn't know why he was doing the work. He didn't know what it meant to his life. Here's the truth. People don't procrastinate on things that hold clear meaning. We procrastinate on things when we can't see the purpose behind them. In Stoicism, Epictetus said, "An action without purpose is an action without meaning." It sounds simple, but it's the key to overcoming procrastination. Because when you know exactly why you're doing something, your body naturally wants to do it. When the reason is strong enough, the action becomes lighter. I asked Michael one simple question. What would change if you completed the most important tasks every day? He stayed quiet for a moment, then said, "I guess I'd feel more confident. I wouldn't feel useless anymore." There it was, his true purpose, not finishing a project, not pleasing his boss, but respecting himself. I guided him through a Stoic why statement exercise. Write down, "I'm doing this because this matters to me because if I complete it, my life will. If I don't complete it, what will happen?" You cannot overcome procrastination if you don't know where you're going. A person without purpose is like a ship without direction. No matter how strong the wind blows, the ship won't go far. When you find the deeper why, procrastination loses half of its power. 6. Self-indulgence. When you wait for it to inspiration instead of taking action. One of the biggest illusions of modern people is this: I'll do it when I feel inspired. But you and I both know something. Inspiration shows up the least when we need it the most. I once worked with a young woman named Elena, a talented artist trapped in chronic procrastination. She told me, "I can't paint if I'm not inspired." So I asked her, "And when inspiration comes, do you paint every day?" She laughed. "No. When I feel inspired, I'm scared I'll ruin it." That's the truth. Waiting for inspiration is the perfect way to never start. Stoicism has a very clear stance on this. Act based on values, not emotions. Emotions change by the hour, values stay steady. Emotions make us hesitate, values move us forward. A Stoic acts because it is the right thing to do, regardless of how they feel in the moment. Seneca once said, "If you want to improve, do it even when you don't want to." I taught Elena a simple but incredibly effective exercise, 15 minutes of disciplined action every day. Not 2 hours, not a full afternoon, just 15 minutes. And do you know what happened? She regained her creative rhythm, and more importantly, she regained her confidence in herself. In the modern world, we are overprotected. We avoid discomfort, we avoid fatigue, we avoid challenge. But that avoidance is exactly what feeds procrastination day after day. Discipline is not punishment, discipline is freedom. Freedom from the procrastination that drains your mental energy. If you want to overcome procrastination, you cannot wait for inspiration. You need small, consistent commitments. That is how the Stoics built inner strength. One small action repeated every single day. 7. Living too fast. When you have no space left to start anything. We're living in a time where everything pushes you to move faster. Packed schedules, back-to-back meetings, overlapping deadlines, family responsibilities, unread messages, unanswered emails. It's not that you're incapable, it's that you simply don't have mental space anymore. A mother of 3 named Linda once told me, "I don't procrastinate because I don't want to do things. I procrastinate because I don't have the energy to begin." And I believe many of you watching this feel exactly like Linda. You're not lazy, you're overwhelmed. You don't procrastinate because you lack motivation. You procrastinate because you're exhausted in ways you haven't even noticed. In Stoic philosophy, there's an important truth that many people misunderstand. Stoicism isn't about being strong all the time, enduring everything, or constantly working. Stoicism is about seeing yourself clearly, recognizing your limits, and rearranging your life so your mind stays clear. Stoics practice slow down to speed up. One exercise I often give is this. Every morning ask yourself, what is the most important thing today? Not what you feel like doing, not what others expect you to do, but the one thing that, if completed, will make your life even slightly better. Just choose one important task a day, only one, and give it the mental space it deserves. Procrastination happens when your mind feels like a cluttered room, too crowded for action. And to act more easily, you don't need to be stronger, you just need more space. Sometimes the cure isn't trying harder, but letting go of things you don't need. Slow down, breathe, look around. As Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations, return to yourself. When you slow down, things become clear. When things are clear, you act wisely, and when you act wisely, procrastination has no room left to exist. After exploring 7 causes of procrastination, you might begin to realize something. Procrastination doesn't mean you're not good enough, you lack discipline, or you can't do it. It's simply a signal that your mind is stretched thin, unsettled, or pulled into places you haven't fully noticed. And that's exactly what Stoic philosophy offers us, the ability to see clearly. Not clarity in results, but clarity in ourselves. Not clarity in what you've done, but clarity in what's happening inside you. Procrastination is not the enemy, it's a quiet reminder that you need to pause, return to yourself, and listen to what truly matters. I once told a patient, procrastination is like a mild pain. It won't destroy your life right away, but it tells you something isn't right. And like any other signal from the body, it doesn't need to be suppressed. It needs to be understood. If you procrastinate because of emotional chaos, face the emotions. If you procrastinate because expectations are too big, shrink them. If you procrastinate because of distractions, protect your attention. If you procrastinate because of fear, let reason illuminate it. If you procrastinate because of lack of purpose, rediscover your why. If you procrastinate because of self-indulgence, build small daily discipline. If you procrastinate because life is too fast, slow down so you can see again. None of this is about being perfect. None of this is about becoming a machine. Stoicism never asked you to be extraordinary. It only asks you to live with the awareness you already have. And when you're aware, you don't need to fight procrastination. You simply notice it, understand it, and choose the right action. Gently, naturally, without pressure. I want you to remember one thing. Progress doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from small steps repeated every day. One sentence, one page, 5 minutes of deep focus, one small action. They all matter. They all count as victories. They all bring you closer to the person you want to see in the mirror every morning. And if you're still watching this right now, I truly believe you want change. You want to live more intentionally, more clearly, and stronger from within. And you deserve that. Stoic philosophy isn't just ancient theory, it's a roadmap for living a meaningful life, right here in this noisy world. If what I shared today resonates with you, if you see yourself in these stories, if you want to continue the journey toward calm, clarity, and inner strength, subscribe to Stoic Awakening More. I created this channel not to talk about philosophy academically, but to walk with you like a trusted friend on your journey to becoming someone you're proud of. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video. And if this video could help a friend, a coworker, or someone you love who's struggling with procrastination, share it with them. Thank you for spending your time here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for having the courage to look within today. I'm Dang Tum, and you're on the journey of awakening with Stoic Awakening More. We have so much more to explore together. I'll see you in the next video.